Are you looking to make a splash in the teaching world in the land of the rising sun and sand? Well, get ready to take notes because I've got some tips and tricks that will make you the hottest teacher in town. Whether you're already here and feeling like a fish out of water, or you are outside of Qatar and looking to land your dream job in the desert, this video is for you. From how to score the teaching gig to delivering outstanding lessons that will make your students beg for more, I've got the insider knowledge to make you a superstar teacher in Qatar. So get your pens and paper ready, sit back, and let's make this the best class ever.
Stay in the moment with me. Give you a moment with me. Spend all the roses with me. Just give you a moment.
Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is MPUMEH and welcome back to Teaching in Qatar content. For today's video, I am going to be sharing with you the tips and tricks of working as a teacher in Qatar. I have been teaching in Qatar for the past 8 years and I have learned a couple of things along the way which I would like to share with you. So without wasting any more time, let's get straight into the video. So if you see me looking to the side, just know that I'm looking at my notes because I do not want to leave anything out for you guys. So let's get into tip number one. Tip number one is, first of all, where do you apply for this teaching job? There are many different avenues that you can take when it comes to finding a teaching job in Qatar. One of the best places to start is with recruitment agencies, and I have left links to a couple of recruitment agencies that you can use in my previous videos. So if you haven't checked those out, do make sure that you check those out, and I will be updating this as I find more. But for now, the ones that I've given you are the ones that are still relevant, and some people have been successful in finding jobs using those websites. Just to name a few of the job boards that you can check, you can use Indeed, you can use Gulf Talent, you can also use LinkedIn. Now LinkedIn has become a very big platform for you to find jobs, and not just in teaching, in different fields. So if you do not have a LinkedIn profile, I would suggest that you make one. If you do want me to make a dedicated video about how you can optimize your LinkedIn profile so that it's suitable for a teaching position, do let me know and I will make one just for that. The reason why I'm mentioning LinkedIn is because it is a great networking platform and you can meet teachers who are currently in Qatar and who can share light on what is working and what is not working and how you can specifically find jobs in Qatar. So I definitely would recommend that you make a LinkedIn profile as soon as possible. Tip number two. So you found the job and now you need to ace the interview. So what are the things that you need to be aware of when it comes to the interview process? So here are some tips that will help you prepare for the interview. Tip number one, definitely research the school. It is very important for you to research the school, find out what the school is about, find out the school values. This will help you understand what they are looking for in a candidate and how you can align yourself with their goals. I think the most important one out of all of them is dress professionally. You do not want to show up to your interview, and I think everybody knows this. You do not want to show up to your interview like you've just rolled out of bed. So please do not do that. Dress professionally. Teaching is a professional job, so you need to make sure that you are presentable. Now, do remember that you are interviewing for a position in Qatar and the way you portray yourself is very important. First impressions count the most, so make sure that you are dressed modestly and you've covered your shoulders and you are not showing cleavage if you're a female. For men, I wouldn't necessarily think you need to wear a tie, but if you want to just up the game, you can definitely wear a tie. So tip number three when it comes to the interview process, be prepared to talk about your experience. The interviewer will want to know how your experience or teaching experience aligns with the current job that you're applying for. So do research what your duties are going to be and make sure that you know exactly how that aligns or goes hand in hand with what you are doing currently. And the last tip when it comes to the interview process is be aware of cultural differences. By this I mean you need to be aware of the differences between Qatar and your country of origin. This will show that you are not only culturally sensitive, but it gives you an upper hand when it comes to the interviewer knowing that you can adapt to a new environment. So tip number three, I'm going to be dropping some gems on things you need to be aware of as Qatar is a Muslim country. So let's jump straight into the first one. Dress modestly. Now, as I've mentioned before earlier, that Qatar is a Muslim country and dressing modestly is very important. So do make sure that your arms and your legs are covered. Not only does this apply when you are in religious buildings, but also when you're going to the mall, where you are going to be in a public place. Islam is the predominant religion in Qatar, so you need to be respectful of the religion and its practices. But most importantly, you need to be aware of prayer times. Prayer is a very important part of the Islamic culture, and so it's important for you to know the prayer times so that you can plan your lessons accordingly. Now let's touch on the ways that a lesson can be delivered. As a teacher in Qatar, you'll be teaching students from a variety of cultural backgrounds. So I've got some tips on how you can deliver effective lessons. Tip number 1, use visual aids. So when I'm talking about visual aids, I'm talking about pictures, videos, diagrams, anything that you can use to help students understand the concept better, especially if English is not their first language, if they have limited English proficiency. Be interactive. As a teacher, the kids are with you throughout the day, and obviously their attention span is not as long as yours, so you need to make sure that your lessons are engaging. Interact with your kids, ask questions that are thought-provoking, higher order thinking questions that allow the kids to be challenged and to not get bored with how you are delivering your lesson. The next one I have mentioned in my previous video when I talked about the resources that you can use in lessons. You have to make sure that whatever resources you are using in the lesson are culturally sensitive. So, for example, you cannot use any worksheets with a cross, any worksheets that have anything depicting any other religion other than Islam. So these are things that obviously when you come over and you have an orientation for the first week with your new school, they will touch base on these concepts, or what I'm mentioning. But just for you to know and have the upper hand to everybody else, because I'm already sharing these things with you. So yeah, just keep them in mind, and just the most important thing is just remember you are not in your home country, you are in a Muslim country, and you have to be culturally sensitive. I keep on repeating this because it's very important. And the last tip when it comes to delivering your lessons, I would say use real-time examples. So if you are talking about money, don't talk about pounds, or I know we are delivering the British curriculum, but try and relate it to what the kids know here in Qatar. If you are asking them to write a story, for example, for creative writing, make sure that you are using examples that are basically relevant to your students. So I can't leave you without giving you some extra tips. So I'm just gonna name about 5 extra things that you can do that will make you stand out from the rest of the pack. So tip number 1, understand the education system. Qatar's education system is different from what you may know from your home country. Obviously, I'm not talking about teachers from the United Kingdom. The education system is the same because we are teaching the British curriculum. So you guys you at least have an upper hand to everybody else. But I'm talking to teachers who are coming from outside of the UK. Make sure you understand how the system works, including the curriculum, grading system. Just familiarize yourself with what you're going to be teaching. Now, I know this might not be what everybody would like to do, but learn some Arabic. I'm not talking about full-on Arabic as in you are fluent, but learn some few Arabic phrases like Salam Alaikum, shukran, just to name a few. Trust me, when you do throw in a few Arabic phrases here and there that the kids did not expect, they really do get excited, and they're like, you know Arabic? I'm like, yeah. They're like, mashallah, mashallah. Meanwhile, I just know 3 phrases and that's it. Tip number 3, get to know your students. You see your students for most of the day, and building a good rapport with them is the best thing that you can do for yourself and your kids. And trust me, they will remember you forever. You are just not there to teach and go home. You are with these kids for most of the day. So build a strong relationship with them. Be their pillar of strength, as most people would like to say. I know it sounds cliche, but if you go in with the notion that you are just there for the money, believe me, it is going to show and you are not going to perform well. But if you go in there, I'm not saying go in with the concept of you want to change the world, and no, Go in with the mentality that you are there to teach, but you are not just there to teach, you are there to build a relationship with your students. It goes a long way. The next tip is make sure you respect the custom and traditions. Qatar has many traditions and customs, and especially during religious holidays. So for example, during Ramadan, there are specific rules where they clearly state that you cannot eat in front of anybody during the fasting period, right? So as much as you might not be a Muslim, it doesn't mean that you can just walk around eating. You will get fined. So just a heads up, and I'm sure that most of you who are already applying to the Middle East, you've done your research, you know what is acceptable and what is not acceptable. And trust me, most of the things your colleagues will tell you, and I will suggest that you ask. If there is something that you are not sure of, don't just do it because you're like, oh, okay, whatever, if it's wrong, it's wrong. No, ask and make sure that you are 100% certain that what you are doing is right. Finally, take advantage of any professional development that your school has, even if it is outside of your school timings, especially if you're new. I remember when we arrived 8 years ago. Believe me when I say I was coming straight from teaching CAPS in South Africa, and I was coming to teach the British curriculum. Yes, I had experienced a couple of years before teaching the British curriculum, but I had forgotten everything, right? And I know that in my first year, I struggled. Now, when I say I struggled, I did not struggle in the sense that I wasn't able to deliver the lesson. I struggled with adjusting to having to work at home, because that's something I wasn't used to in South Africa, you know? Home time is home time, you don't carry work home. Yes, if you have marking, yes, you would take marking home now and then, but it wasn't often. Now I'm talking about taking work home every single day because you wanted to be on top of things. That was me during my first year. So what I would recommend is just know that you are going to have to put in 200% within your first year. If you tell yourself that, then the second year, trust me, it's going to be smooth sailing. So that brings me to the end of this video. I hope you have gained some insight as to how you can be a better teacher in Qatar and how you can land that first job. So please do let me know if there's anything specific that you would like me to discuss, and I'm just letting you know now that I am back with the Qatar teaching content, and I've got a couple of fun, exciting things lined up for you guys. So we are coming back full force. So anyways, thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to tell your friends, subscribe to my channel. I love you guys, and I will see you on my next one. Bye bye.
Can we just talk about where we're going before we get lost? Can we just talk, figure out where we're growing?